Meiman, all-knowing and all-powerful, starting with the elderly wolf uncle chapter 70. Nick. When Fury saw this scene, his eyes suddenly pained, and he roared and was furious. On the neck and temples, dense blood vessels suddenly appeared. You're provoking me, you will pay for it. Take its toll. Quote. His tone was maniac, his fists were clenched, and he smashed on the table in front of him. The roar can be heard from 3 floors away. Next second. Nick. The picture on the screen in front of Fury suddenly turned, and Chen Tian's face appeared. He pointed the camera at himself, his expression calm and his eyes were cold, as if he was looking directly at Nick on the other side through the lens. Fury. You asked for it. I said don't come and provoke me, or you will pay the price. Chen Tian's tone was calm, as if he was saying something trivial. It's a pity that you xield are too arrogant to take my words to heart. Quote. Like a fool, you only know that you regret it when you are beaten, but it's too late. Saying that, he paused a few times and continued, Nick. Fury, I'm not in the mood to bother with xield right now. Quote. You'd better be obedient, otherwise your entire xield organization will disappear tomorrow. Chen Tian's tone was very gentle from beginning to end, even if he was saying threatening words. But just listening to the tone regardless of the content is like saying something ordinary. The voice fell. Chen Tian threw the camera in his hand to the ground. You guys hurry up and send someone to collect the corpses. There are so many corpses lying in front of the house, it makes people feel strange and uncomfortable. Between words, Chen Tian pressed his foot on the camera. After the last word was spoken, he did not continue to give it to Nick. Fury replied, the soles of his feet lightly exerting force. Click the entire camera one by one, and he stepped on it directly. Fack. Nick. Fury looked at the picture of losing the signal on the screen in front of him, and recalled what Chen Tian said, and the anger in his heart was even stronger. Another punch. Even smashed the table in front of him into disformation. Damn, he roared, infinite anger flowing under his eyes. The anger could almost turn into substance and spit out of his eyes. Nick. Fury hadn't been so angry in a long time, especially since the other party is still a mutant, and he dares to threaten himself after killing his best friend. Chen Tian. Nick. Fury gritted his teeth, and Coulson's tragic death appeared in front of his eyes, as well as Chen Tian's threatening words that he didn't care about. His fists were clenched, his chest, was heaving violently, and his face was gloomy. After a long time, Nick. Fury barely managed to control his emotions, but there was still a thick gloom in his eyes. Hill, come see me. He pointed into the communicator and called out a name. It didn't take long. A tall woman with short and capable hair stood in front of him. The woman's name was Hill. Her blue eyes are deep, her facial features are three-dimensional, she looks beautiful and generous, but also exudes a heroic atmosphere, giving people a feeling of being able to do things decisively. In fact, this woman is not only an extremely good agent, but also has strong leadership skills. In later Marvels, even in Nick. Fury later served as a spokesperson for xield. Chief, are you looking for me? Hill asked. Coulson had an accident at the Derenhay estate in New York. I need you to deal with Nick. Fury's extremely tired and much smaller voice at the moment after a long period of anger. However, the haze under the eyes has not weakened. Received. Hill replied. She could see that the other party's face was a little wrong, but out of a high degree of professionalism, she didn't ask too much. And, Nick. Fury raised his head and took a deep look at Hill. Stare at that mutant named Chen Tian, but don't touch him, let alone anger him. How to deal with it, I will think about it later. I will never let him go. When he said the last word, Nick. Fury faintly showed some gritted teeth again. Yes. Hill glanced at his chief, saluted, and then retreated. At the same time, he was also curious about the mutant named Chen Tian. Delenhay Manor. Chen Tian finished solving the people of xield and returned to the room again. Chen, you're getting stronger again. Logan looked at the scene of Chen Tian's action before, and his expression was very complicated. He probably knew what the other party was going to do the other day. That's a good thing, isn't it? Chen Tian said with a smile. Chen, you are so powerful. As soon as his words fell, Wanda on the side praised with adoration. Pete, who gathered on the side because of Rogan's words just now, trembled when he heard this, but did not dare to say anything. His fear of Chen Tian deepened another level. It's a good thing indeed. Professor Charles also laughed. Chen, first I'm more and more looking forward to the future you are talking about. I'm sure you can do it. Awesome. At this time, Laura silently pulled up Chen Tian's sleeve, and finally spoke weakly. When Chen Tian heard this, he turned his head and looked at it, suddenly surprised. It was the first time Laura had spoken in so much time. It means that the little one has finally begun to slowly shake off the haze of the past. Thinking about it, Chen Tian touched Laura's head happily. The latter felt the warmth of his palm, quietly raised his eyes to look at him, and the corners of his mouth rose without missing a trace. And Chen Tian looked up at the night. It's just night, just enough to take everyone to the playground to play, and when it is late, there will be fireworks in the playground. Good. Wanda suddenly burst into enthusiasm when she heard this, and Laura also raised her head with expectation. Only Pete didn't dare to speak. He really didn't dare to hang out with Chen Tian. If I talk about the playground, forget it, I'd rather go to the bar and have another drink. Logan was also a little reluctant to go. Logan, it's hard to get out, it's not good to leave the team alone. Professor Charles exhorted with a smile. The two girls also stared at him with big eyes with a slight loss and expectation. Let's go together, everyone wants you together. Chen Tian immediately said with a smile. Well, I lost. Rogan saw that everyone else was enthusiastic, and suddenly changed his attention. And if you think about it, he really hasn't been to an entertainment venue other than a bar for a long time. Just when everyone else was smiling. Only Pete looked strange and couldn't speak. But since everyone else was preparing to leave, he didn't dare to say anything more. Subsequently, they prepared for each other. The group went out together and set off to the playground. The other side, SHIELD Tri-Curved Wing Building Headquarters. In Nick, when Fury roared, the entire SHIELD was guessing what was going on. Until the news spread that Coulson and his party had been killed.